Welcome to Inclusive Post-Secondary Education, Choosing the Right Program. My name is Drew Andrews, and I'm the Assistant Director at the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities at the University of Central Florida.
And I am Janice Seabrooks Blackmore. I am the Executive Director of the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities. Welcome.
Today's agenda includes an overview of the Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Program known as FPCTP Act, information about the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities, FCSUA, current Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Programs, and preparing for Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Programs, making the right choice. The Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Program Act has four major areas. First, it established the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities, which is housed at the University of Central Florida. Next, it established the Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Programs, a framework for those programs. It also funds scholarships for students to attend approved programs. It also funds startup and enhancement grants to support those programs at universities, state colleges, and career tech centers. The Florida Center's charge to make it happen. So the charge that was given to the center was to create an application submission process and approval process. And so that was done in 2016. All of those are to become a Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Program. They were also charged to administer the development and the development and enhancement grants and oversee the distribution of those funds to universities, colleges, and technical colleges. Also, award the scholarships to eligible students who are participating in approved programs, and to collect, analyze, and report evaluation information regarding program and student outcomes. So how does this help you? Well, there are additional resources provided through the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities. We provide technical assistance. At any time, you can contact us and ask questions about post-secondary education or programs for students with intellectual disabilities. We have regular webinars every month that share information about participating in inclusive higher education or developing post-secondary programs. We have an online strategic planning tool that programs use to develop or to enhance their program. And we also, every year, have a Florida Post-Secondary Education Program Planning Institute. We provide assistance to prepare FPCTP applications and grant proposals and to request scholarships for students. We provide assistance to design evaluation plans and to collect and analyze evaluation data. Assistance to develop the federal CTP proposal, and that is the Federal Comprehensive Transition Post-Secondary Program Proposal that allows programs to access federal financial aid for students in approved programs. We also provide feedback to the state legislators regarding funding and policy needs.
When you think about our Florida Post-Secondary Comprehensive Transition Programs, here are some things that you need to know. All of our programs focus on employment as their outcomes, as a primary outcome. They are all inclusive in inclusive context. That means that the programs are not in a trailer somewhere on campus or in a unit. It's not a special ed program on campus. It is an integral part of the institution's curriculum, and participants participate in all aspects of the institution's campus life. Students who are in those programs must be in those programs no less than half-time. This means if the university's half-time requirement is 6 hours, then students in these programs must be in the program enrolled for at least 6 hours, not less. Also, the FPCTPs, they address meaningful credentials that students can earn once completing those inclusive programs. Credentials that convey to employers industry certification and ability to go to work. And this increases the employment opportunities and earning ranges, and particularly long-term employment that leads to more independence, which is a major focus of all of our programs. Students participating in the programs also must continue to meet satisfactory academic progress. Just like any other student receiving financial aid, these students also must meet the financial aid requirements of satisfactory academic progress, and so do the students participating in our FPCTP programs. Programs that are apply and become approved as a Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Program must also apply for federal approval, which Dr. Andrews mentioned earlier. 1 year after they are implemented, they must apply for federal comprehensive and transition programs so that those students can receive federal financial aid, be eligible for Pell Grants and other federal financial resources. And so you may be curious of who some of our programs are. And we have institutions, as Dr. Andrews mentioned earlier, across the state that are universities, that are state colleges, and that are career tech centers. So we have the Florida Atlantic University, which is actually on two campuses. It is expanding to Boca Raton and Jupiter. We have a program at the University of Central Florida in Orlando. We also have a Southeastern University, which is a private nonprofit institution that is in Lakeland. Our College of the Florida Keys in Key West. We have Santa Fe State College in Gainesville, Indian River State College in Fort Pierce, Robert Morgan Technical College in Miami-Dade Public Schools, which is part of Miami-Dade Public Schools, McFadder Technical College, which is in Broward County Public Schools. We have some of our newer programs that have come on board in this recent year. In Lee County, we have Cape Coral Technical College and Fort Myers Technical College. Our newest is actually Florida International University in Miami. We're happy to see them aboard. We also have St. Petersburg College, who came on this year, Tallahassee Community College, and Orange Technical College, West Side in Orange County. Several institutions are working to become FPCTPs, and probably their applications will be at the state level at the time, in just a few weeks. Broward State College's application is very well underway. Emerald Coast Technical College. We have Florida Gulf Coast University, which is pretty well underway. Lively Technical College, as well as Okaloosa Technical College. Sheridan Technical College has actually been part of our program with McFadder. Now, as a technical colleges can be their own. All of the technical colleges in one district can be their own FPCTPE, CTP. And so Sheridan Technical College is applying to be one, pull apart from McFadder. And then the University of South Florida in St. Petersburg is also working to come aboard. So we have a nice spread of programs across the state, and we have room for more. So we are looking for institutions from our Panhandle through Key West, and you can see we're pretty much covered, but we certainly have room for more. Part of our responsibility as the center, as mentioned before, is students who participate in the FPCTPs earn scholarships. Each student who participates is eligible for $7,000 each year of the program. And you can see the growth over time, how we've grown from 47 scholarships at the beginning of the Act in 2016 and 17, and up to our latest count, which we know that we have far more than 128 scholarships at this point in time. But at our last annual report, we had 128 scholarships for 2019-20, and that number continues to grow. Another responsibility of the center is that we help institutions write grant proposals and receive grant awards to help implement programs. So many institutions understand that although institutions have accommodations and meet needs of people with disabilities, not many are prepared to work with students with intellectual disabilities. And so the FPCTP grants are available so that institutions can implement with rigor additional accommodations and resources that would be needed in order for the institutions to actually fully prepare individuals to become employed and reach those credentials that will be increase those opportunities for employment and independence. So currently there are 12 institutions of higher ed that do have the FPCTPs grants. That is an option for institutions to take. We have two kinds. We have a startup grant, which helps actually the program get started. So when institutions actually apply for becoming an approved program in the state, they can also apply for startup money that will help the implementation of that program. And that is good for 3 years. And once they have been established for 3 years and they decide to renew to become an enhanced program, they can request an enhancement grant, which is another 3 years of support that helps them to expand and improve their program after they've learned a few things about what's been going on these last 3 years, and or 2 years or 1 year that we need to improve. And I said or 2 years or 1 year because an institution can get up to $300,000 annually. And the institution may decide that they would like to receive a $300,000 startup grant for 1 year. Or they may decide they want a $300,000 enhancement grant for 1 year. They can get $300,000 for 3 years, up to 3 years each year. So a total of potentially $900,000 over 3 years. So the grants recycle every 3 years. The programs, however, recycle first at the beginning as a new program. They start out for 3 years, and when they become a renewed program to be eligible for the enhancement grant, they are approved for 5 years. And our students, we've talked about them. We've talked about they must attend at least half time. They are students in the legislation who are students with intellectual disabilities as defined by the federal law, including but not limited to transitional students. So our primary target area, and you'll see when we look at some of our data about who our students actually are, our primary target area are students between 18 to 26, but not limited to that. We've had programs across the state with students in their 40s, students in their 50s. That was their first time being able to attend college, and they did. And so eligible students, primary and foremost, an individual who has an identified intellectual disability defined by federal law. These students must also attend the institution, physically attend the institution. So if an institution is known as only an online institution, that would not be the appropriate program for students. So they must physically attend. And they must have evidence, submit evidence to those institutions, documentation that they actually have an intellectual disabilities. And that is up to the institution to vet the quality, the credibility of that documentation. The center relies on each institution to make that determination about the quality of the documentation and who are actually individuals with intellectual disabilities. Those are our student characteristics.
Next, when we look at characteristics of Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Programs, you'll realize that there are lots of differences among programs around the state. Although there are similarities, and yes, they all offer a meaningful credential, they all serve students with intellectual disabilities. The structure of programs and the focus of programs are very different. So some of those characteristics include the credentials that are available, and we're going to talk about that in just a few slides because the credentials vary from one institution to the other. Some of them include industry certification. Some of them include micro-credentials. The organization and context of the curriculum. At some programs, they have certain courses that have specialized curriculum for the FPCTP, and other programs, everything is integrated into just the general flow of the institution of higher education with additional supports that are provided. The campus context. We know that on a state college, university, or career tech campus, that there are lots of different departments. So there's flexibility in where the program lives. It might be in student services. It might be in the College of Education. It really, it could be in the Department of Industrial Education. So there's lots of flexibility in where programs are housed at institutions of higher education. The length of the program can vary. Some programs go up to 4 years. Other programs are 2 years. Other programs offer an exit point after 1 year. And so there's lots of flexibility for students with intellectual disabilities in Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Programs. And that's why you really need to make sure that you're making the right choice when you choose the Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Program that you would like to participate in. Some programs even have a residential option where dorms at the institution of higher education are available for students to live on campus. There's also a lot of difference in the supports provided and who provides them. Most programs have mentors that work with students. Others have employment specialists that work with students, but not every program. A program has the flexibility to address the needs of students in the way that they see fits those students best. And so there's lots of differences from one Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Program to the next. And there's also a difference in cost, just like there's a difference in cost if you are going to any university, college, or technical center. There's a difference in cost. And so knowing the cost is important whenever you're making that decision. Now, there are lots of details that we don't have time to go into, and we're going to share some more information. But if you visit our website at www.fcsua.org, you can find the FCSUA 2019 annual report, which is our most recent annual report. In October, you'll be able to find the FCSUA 2020 annual report. And just to give you a little bit more information, if you go to the About Us tab and scroll to the very bottom of the screen on the website, you'll see all of the annual reports that we have submitted to the state for 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and then, as I said, in October, you'll see 2020.
So who are these programs serving? That's pretty helpful to think about which institution or program that you would be interested in. You want to know who are the people. And when anybody attending post-secondary ed, they kind of want to find some like groups, or maybe some that are really diverse and different. And so we are going to share some of the information from our annual report with Dr. Andrews just finished mentioning, that's on our website, that can answer. And we have a lot of information about who our students are and who the programs are serving. But we wanted to give you a glimpse to kind of help you make a decision about, which one is the right program for me? And so we'll look at that. Well, we got a pretty almost even balance when we start looking at males and female who are in these programs. Now, they're majority male, but the females aren't too far behind. When we look at all of the programs across the state, we have a nice mixture. The diversity is a little different. The majority of the students that are participating in the programs at this point, more than half are white or Caucasian. And then we have a large number of Black or African Americans who are 23%, with Hispanic or Latino coming in after. And these don't differ so much when we think about our racial diversity, ethnic diversity across the country. So we have a nice representation of the folks who are in the program, and the diversity can certainly and will certainly change over time. Many of the people who enter the students who enter the programs, they start off, the majority of them are living at home. Remember, the students who are entering are pretty much those who are in the 18 to 26 range, but not limited to that. So that's not atypical for participants to just be leaving home. But you also see that we have individuals who may have come from a group home who come into our programs. And then just a few who may have lived alone or with someone who enter our program. And so you may fit in one of these categories, I'm sure, when you're thinking about what's their background, kind of what's their living experiences have been. Again, we talked about the range, and you can see from this chart that the majority of the students who are in our programs enter at the age of 22, although we have some ranges. You see from age 19 all the way to age 45 that across the state of Florida, we have a range of ages, just like we would have a range of ages of typical students entering post-secondary ed. So no matter which program you choose, there are going to be some that'll be a little younger in age, but across the state, the majority are pretty pretty much around age 22. And so also in thinking about that, knowing that the majority are around age 22, we also think about, well, how long have these participants been out of school? You may be wondering the number of individuals who already left the K through 12 system and how many would be on the same experience level with you. You see the majority of them had not been out of school more than a year. More than 25% of our students have not been out more than 1 year. So that's a nice number to look at. They are typically exiting K through 12, and they are coming directly into our Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Programs. Again, we have a range of students where the large majority of the students come from public school settings in K through 12. But we also have students who come from private schools or who may have been in center schools. And so when we start thinking about who are the other students that are entering and helping you choose a program, you think about the experiences, again, that they've had, and the majority come from public settings, but we certainly have people, students who are also coming from those private settings as well. And then thinking about what kind of credentials individuals come with as you think about your peers who are coming into the programs. Many have exited with a special diploma, but we also have a large number who's exited with a regular high school diploma. And some of that is based on how the law has changed, and some of the participants who are more recent graduates are going to have a high school diploma versus a special diploma, but our larger number are those with special diplomas. And then we have those who complete with a certificate of attendance. And some have just exited high school, and we're not sure what the credential was when they exited, but they did leave. And that's the important part, that you can no longer be in K-12. You must have exited K-12. And so you kind of see where everyone has come from with their credentials. So in thinking about what's the right program for you, you got a lot of characteristics, just a glimpse of some of the characteristics of students who are currently in the program.
So when we think about choosing the right program, we're going to share some information. This is more information from our annual report that might help you as you're choosing the right program for you. So let's first think about employment interest of students prior to Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Program enrollment. And we are looking at that interest based on the career clusters that the state of Florida Department of Education uses in career and adult education. So you see there's lots of interest in agriculture, food, and natural resources, and also hospitality and tourism. And of course, I'm sure you're thinking, well, those are major industries in Florida. But you see that there are also fields where there are fewer students, but there are still programs for those students. Next, let's think about students' employment interest, because when someone's thinking of going to school, eventually they're thinking of moving to employment. And employment is a major focus of Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Programs, preparing students for employment whenever they exit the program. So when looking at those employment interests, again, you see a large number in agriculture, food, and natural resources. You see quite a few in education and training, and then you see a large number in hospitality and tourism. Several of our programs focus on hospitality and tourism, as that is a major industry in the state of Florida. So the charts that you'll be looking at next, I won't be reading every word from these charts, but you have the PowerPoint that you can download and that you can look through, and it will really give you a glimpse of what the different programs look like. And so looking at credentials offered at Florida Atlantic University, you see here that there is a supported community employment credential, a supported community access, and a supported community living credential. At Southeastern University, their credentials focus on technology, hospitality, and healthcare. At the University of Central Florida, hospitality, education, social services. At Indian River State College. And some programs offer just a few credentials, and other programs offer an array of choices to choose the credential. So you see here with Indian River State College that there are quite a few additional front desk specialist, AC, air conditioning, refrigeration, and heating helper, automotive service assister, childcare certification. And then you see the chart moves into Santa Fe College, where safe staff food handler certification is available, as well as credentials from the American Heart Association, red carpet service training, also the certified nursing assistant. And again, I'm just moving through these, not reading every single one, because you'll have the PowerPoint to be able to go through and really look specifically at maybe a school that you're interested in that might be near your home, or it might be away from your home, and they might have a residential component at that school. Like, for instance, the College of the Florida Keys has a residential component where students can live in the dorms on campus. So here's some more information on Santa Fe College, and then we move into St. Petersburg College. And there you can get a rooms division operation certificate. So if you're working at a convention center or a hotel that has a convention center, you can have a certificate in rooms division operation. Food and beverage specialist, Microsoft Productivity Suite. At Tallahassee Community College, there's a focus on arts, humanities, communication and design, or business, science, technology, engineering and math, behavioral sciences and human sciences, or education. The College of the Florida Keys, project access. And here we go. And there are lots of options as I move through, and you'll see. And most of the programs that are offered at Florida Postsecondary Comprehensive Transition Programs and the credentials at those programs are focused on employment opportunities in that area. For instance, guest service specialist in the Keys, that would be important. Marine mammal behavior and training, also another area where there would be jobs that require that credential. Next, we have Cape Coral and Fort Myers Technical Colleges in Lee County. And as you see, there's a lot of opportunity here, from carpentry, cosmetology, culinary arts, digital design. Lots of different opportunities. Also, Florida Panhandle Technical College. Now at McFadder College in Broward, you see that there's the ServSafe manager. They also have a local agri-science certification and also commercial foods and culinary arts program. At Orange Technical College, which is on the west side in Orange County, a focus on electricity and welding. Robert Morgan Education Center and Technical College in Miami-Dade County focuses on baking and pastry arts, commercial foods and culinary arts, and also 3D animation technology.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. And in thinking about that, if you're still in high school, we wanted you to know what's after high school, what's an expectation for you after high school, college, in different aspects, whether it's a career tech center, whether it's a state college or a university, public or private, nonprofit. There are options for you in making a decision about which FPCTP is appealing to you. While we have quite a few institutions all over the state, we still would like to encourage you to demand for more. So we wanted to share information about what's there, what's available, and you may be thinking, there's nothing in my area. Well, if there's nothing in your area, students and families can certainly share this information with institutions, query about whether or not they, your nearby institution is interested in starting an FPCTP in your area so that students in your area can take advantage of that. Although these programs, regardless of where you live, are available to students across the state. So you don't have to have one nearby, but it would be nice. And when creating the demand for more of these programs, it's interesting when we start thinking about post-school outcomes, looking at the state performance plans and the annual performance reports. When we start thinking about indicator 13, for some students that might not be as important, but it's certainly important as you look at your IEPs and faculty and staff work on what are those post-secondary goals once you leave high school, how many are actually in school after employment, and your level of participation in making that decision is critical. So you can help create that demand by targeting post-secondary ed programs on your IEPs. Professionals, families, and educators can think about preparing students for success, to succeed, knowing what the options are, looking at and understanding the criteria. You can go to our website and reach out to any one of the program directors to find out what are the criteria to enter those institutions. And knowing that, just like with all of us, as we think about attending a post-secondary institution, we want to know what's the requirement. We want to know the requirement so that we can prepare to actually access those institutions and be successful in those institutions. And we want you to be in the same position. And so that, in many cases, knowing that it's a requirement for you to exit with a summary of performance, we would like for you to think about how meaningful those summary of performances are, and targeting post-secondary education, being able to communicate to the next level, because summary of performances do not exist in institutions of higher ed. So how can K through 12, students exiting K through 12 actually present information about your strengths, your particular interests, areas where you would need support in your summary of performance that would be applicable in a post-secondary ed setting and beyond. And so again, we want to create more choices. We have several institutions. Reach out to your institutions and ask them to think about the uniqueness of what they have in your area. And you know, many institutions are known for their resources, like Dr. Andrews pointed out with Key West. All of our institutions think about that. So we like to create the demand. One way that we are assisting with that is also available through the Florida Center for Students with Unique Abilities. We are providing program supports to high schools that help create college and career transition clubs. And those college and career transition clubs focus on getting students prepared to come and become prepared and aware of our, not only our approved programs, but of post-secondary options. Those college and career transition programs are inclusive. And so those programs must include students with intellectual disabilities, other disabilities, and students without disabilities. We wanted to mirror the environment that students will see and be in once they are participating in an FPCTP. You want to learn more about that? You'll have an opportunity to check out that on our website as we think about it. So how do you help create the demand? In creating the supplies, we're thinking about post-secondary education, creating the supply. We are offering opportunities to support institutions of higher ed, to partner with other organizations across the state who focus on working with individuals with disabilities, our VR, our agencies for persons with disabilities, centers for independent living. All of those institutions of higher ed can reach out to offer more opportunities across Florida in areas, again, where there's gaps. Build a team. We have institutions, we have professional development opportunities twice a year, where institutions come together at our institutes in June and again in November. Come join us. Build a team and come join us. And we are available whether you can come as a team or not. We can come to you virtually, we can Zoom, we can communicate with you on the phone, and when times are available, we can actually physically be in your space. So check out our website and access the center's resources. We are here for you in making the right choice and creating the right programs that will help students with intellectual disabilities choose a post-secondary institution that will further their employment and independent living opportunities.
So feel free to contact us and to follow us. So on this slide, you'll see our telephone number, which is 407-823-5225. Our website at www.fcsua.org. Our email at fcsua@ucf.edu. On Facebook at Florida CSUA. On Instagram at Florida CSUA, and also on Twitter at Florida CSUA. Additionally, we want to provide our email. So my email is drew.andrews@ucf.edu, and Dr. Seabrook's Blackmore's email is janice.seabrooks-blackmore@ucf.edu. We'd like to thank you for joining our presentation, and we hope that you found this information meaningful, and we hope that you'll share it with others. And if you have additional questions, we hope that you'll in some way reach out to us to find out more about making the right choice when choosing a Florida post-secondary comprehensive transition program.
Enjoy the rest of the conference.